All right. You're
Well,
like, what?
oh,
Okay.
never mind. Keep
Okay.
going.
Never mind, Ryan. Thank you for interrupting. Okay, we're live,
Oh,
and
I thought we might have a dog interruption,
oh, that'd
but
be
we're
funny.
we're good.
If it happens, it happens. Ryan's on his classic. I'm gonna take Luna on a walk while we record this video, uh, thing.
What's
So
what, no, what's Daryl say in The Office? I'm just time hacking. Isn't that his quote
that's
in
a
like the
deep
later
pull,
season?
but sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2024, the season in review. We didn't do a great job at recapping our 2023 season, so I kind of want to do a better job at recapping the seasons going forward because a lot of people after they get eliminated, they kind of check out, which makes sense. But good to remember those who did well down the stretch in the seasons and 2-1. Obviously, Fleming won as we're showing here. And at the end, another exciting bit. If you stick around to the end, we got the all-time record holders across both seasons. Our 2 seasons now in the books. We'll go through who has some of the all-time records. Let's jump right in. Starting off with, I guess, a brief mention of like the amendments we attempted to pass after the first season. Tight end premium and weekly fab stimulus, which we also voted on this year, did not pass last year, did not pass this year. It was close on tight end premium this time around. But the 2 new things that were added last year were the 3rd and 4th place roster locks, that being just their starters. Once the 3rd and 4th place, like when you're in the final 4, those 2 teams that get eliminated before it gets to the championship, those starters do not get dropped. We enacted that, and we're keeping that this year as well. And then also the gulag, the chance for resurrection in the first 6 weeks. That was a fun experiment, I think, but not worth the headache, the effort, the confusion, all the above. But it was a fun thing to try. I'm not mad that we tried it. We got rid of that for this year. Okay. Let's look at the draft. I think the fun thing to look at with looking at the draft last year is, well, first off, how little the draft can mean in the long term. Like, you can have a really bad draft. I think I'll call out Ryan for that.
You can at me. Yeah, I was gonna say you can at me.
You can have a really bad draft. What did Fleming do? Fleming, I starred no one on his team. Fleming did not have like a blow. No, actually, Fleming's draft is kind of buns, to be honest. But it doesn't matter. It really, all it gives you is the security in the first couple weeks, and you can get through the first couple weeks without drafting
I
well.
I also, to further to my draft, I think my last pick was Jordan Mason, who I dropped the day after the draft.
You
So
did. You did.
if my yeah, if my draft wasn't bad enough, my only good pick I proceeded to drop. So
Yes. And I starred
yeah,
Josh Downs for you, so we'll give you the call out for that.
yeah,
That was your
thank you.
good
Yeah,
eighth round
he
pick,
was
Josh
good.
Downs.
I didn't know he was hurt when I drafted him, so there's also that. But
Yeah.
glad it worked out.
And yeah, Jordan Mason was your second to last pick, and yeah, you dropped him before CMC was ruled out, and I actually picked him up before CMC was ruled out, but then I proceeded to trade him for like pennies.
Yeah, $5 or something.
Yeah, so that was, I think, before the
What?
news was official. I think that was when CMC was still like lingering the injury, but hadn't been like
Yeah.
completely. Okay, anyway.
Good stuff. Good
So,
times.
yeah, this is just to maybe get some excitement going for the draft, that like those later rounds really can matter. You can really find some diamonds in the rough later. I mean, even like look at the last 2 picks of the draft. Zach Ertz and Jonnu Smith both ended up being top 10 tight ends on the season. And if that doesn't further the narrative that tight ends are so volatile and you can find value in them, I don't know what does. But I think I don't want to go through every single one of these. You can look around and see who I've started. These players ended up being pretty good throughout the season. Yeah, I don't know, Ryan, anything stand out to you that you want to call out?
Well, I'm on my phone, so it's really small.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, you're probably keeping 2 players, maybe 3, if you have a really good draft toward the end of the year. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think your point about just like it gets you through the first few weeks, hopefully.
Yeah.
But even then, I mean, Cooper. I've talked about this before, but Cooper's team last year, who was out week 1,
Yep.
it was a solid team. He
Mm-hmm.
didn't have a guy score a touchdown, and I think that'll kind of screw you. You
Yeah.
know, like if you got
Bijan great, but he had a slow start to
yeah,
the season a little bit.
yep.
Couldn't
I
get
think he had
anything.
Najee, and Najee got like 20 carries for 80 yards. It's just like no touchdowns, and it's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
if you guys like, essentially, this is a fun way to think about week 1. If you get 1 touchdown, 2 you're probably safe. Like just
Yeah,
with
from
the chances
non-quarterbacks. From
that
non-quarterbacks.
from non-quarterbacks, correct? From non-quarterbacks, I think 1 or 2 touchdowns, like you can probably relax, barring just an utter letdown from the
Well,
rest of the
especially with the
roster.
increase of the league to 20 teams.
Yes, correct,
Um,
correct. So
but yeah, Cooper's team. I mean,
anyway,
Cortland Sutton ended up being a stud, but he got eliminated week 1 before Sutton got to really come into his own.
yeah, that's the
I picked
yeah.
up
I mean,
Sutton after he died, and Sutton was like was a 10-week starter for me. No
yeah,
joke. So,
yeah.
and Braylon Allen, I'll give Braylon Allen a little shout out. I didn't star him, but pretty solid
Braylon
late
Allen.
pick. Solid pick. Yeah, sorry if I didn't give you any stars. I truly don't.
No,
think
I didn't deserve him. And also, I don't know why my head went to Braylon Edwards, and I was like, who drafted Braylon Edwards
No,
last year?
Braylon Edwards been retired for a decade. Oh, fun
Yeah,
times.
Braylon Allen, good pick. Yeah, Braylon Allen, good pick.
There you go. Now we're gonna go through kind of not week by week, but in kind of chunks of the year and get through what were the big headlines. There's so much to dive into; it's hard to hit on everything. So I'm sure there's big things you might think I missed if you were active throughout the whole season. But I'm trying to hit the headlines. First thing that was hilarious was right after the draft, Ben traded away his first-round pick right here, Saquon Barkley, who he took at the 8th. He traded away Saquon to Jack for $45 under the theory that you don't need, you can probably survive anyway. All you need is a little bit of luck, one team to have a bad week, and you're going to survive. So he's like, I'll take a huge chunk of fab so I can start dominating the market early in the season. And I'm assuming this is his philosophy. But then 1 week later, Saquon was the scoring leader in week 1 and 2, and then Ben buys him back for 63. So he nets a loss of 18 fab and did not have Saquon for weeks 1 and 2. Funny how that worked, and that was with Jack Colston. So that was a funny bit there. Ben, of course, got flamed for that, but I enjoyed it.
If you think about it, it's just Saquon for 63. Forget that he sold him for 45.
Pretty solid.
The 45 is a sunk cost. In a nutshell, Saquon for 63 was probably a good move. It just obviously followed by the unfortunate, $45 sell. But
yeah,
sunk cost, not bad, Ben.
Yeah. I think he was ultimately right in doing that because Saquon was an absolute stud. Just shouldn't have traded him away in the first place, I guess. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
Cooper gets chopped week 1, and this is when the Gulag existed. Cooper, in the first week of its existence, I wasn't sure how many people would get out of it and survive. But early in the season, you got a good chance. It's a lot of volatility. So Cooper survives from the Gulag week 1 with guys like Mac Hollins, Jalen Naylor, and Ray McLeod leading the way in his lineup. Only to be chopped along with Mitchell in week 3. And one of the big fab splashes outside of the Saquon thing was Cooper's first-round pick, Bijan. Ryan bid 53 for him, and then proceeded to trade him to Phillip, who was desperate, for 75, which I guess another thing to call out from the draft. Funny thing, Phillip had the 2nd overall pick. He could not make the draft. This was an auto draft. Do you see any running backs in the first 8 rounds? No. Phil was absolutely...
Ray Davis,
shafted.
if my memory serves me right.
Tyler Algier and Ray Davis were his 2 running backs. So I think
Algier had
he ended up pairing Algier with Bijan as his 2 running backs, I think, for a couple weeks because he traded to the 2 Falcons running backs. Yeah. So that was funny. Phillip was desperate. He paid 75 for Bijan, so Ryan makes a profit there. That was weeks 1 through 3 recap. Or 1 through 2, really. Week 3, I'm going to call it the week 3 miracle. This was Jack Potter was all but dead going into Monday night, down by, there were a couple people with players still to play, but Potter was definitely not in a good spot. He threw $30 plus some guys at Johnny to get Jaden Daniels, who ends up dropping 30 points against Cincy to keep Potter alive by 1 point, eliminating Jack Colston, along with, if you'll see here on the right, that was... two Gulag teams getting eliminated because it was a double elimination week after Cooper resurrected himself, putting Jack in the Gulag. Go ahead.
And I think you would probably know better, but if my memory serves me well, he advanced on a 40-yard 4th down bomb.
Oh yeah, I won't forget it because it was against the Bengals.
Yeah, it was against the Bengals,
but
they did not need
of a bomb.
They did not need to throw on that.
Well, we were down by 5.
Okay, they didn't need to. They didn't need to. Oh, they were down. Okay,
we were down. We were only Bengals were scoring every drive, keeping pace, and then
I guess what I'm saying is they could have a first down wins it, and they just went for
the absolute nuke to Terry McLaurin in the corner of the end zone. Yeah. Awesome.
Very unfortunate for Colston. Yeah, very unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's
Uh,
probably not a play where you think
I
they're
want to
going for it
say, I
all.
mean, there was a
Good
point
times.
like in the second half of that game where we're like, okay, Potter's eliminated. Like it
Yeah,
was,
I think you're right.
yep. It was and the other funny thing from this week was Ryan, who ends up being the top 25% scorer on the week, getting himself a little flame. You would have been dead if it had not been for Juwan Jennings dropping 40
Yep.
points, putting you at 108. Without that 40, you go down to 68. Juwan Jennings puts up 9, you're eliminated. And that's not a
Well,
weird score for Juwan Jennings to put up.
and I think the other funny thing is, I mean, obviously that just kind of shows you the luck of fantasy, but
Especially in this
uh,
league.
yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like, all right, Johnny wasn't like my my first waiver priority. It's like, let's say I get somebody who maybe I bid on higher, and then I don't get Jennings, and then you're out. So
Oh, you said
yeah,
Johnu. I
I
was
mean,
like, why?
a lot.
You meant Juwan.
Go on, sorry.
I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah,
what are we talking
so,
about?
yeah. A lot of luck involved, but I will take it. I will take it.
Exactly. And then Jack Colston proceeded to be the second team to survive the Gulag and come back. He survived with the likes of Alec Pierce, Deshaun Watson, and Ray McLeod. Another Ray
Sean Paul.
McLeod was a common name on these Gulag teams. Um,
You got to get those home run guys.
yeah,
Ray McLeod and Speedy Naylor. They were
touchdown
home run
guys.
guys.
You just need a
Yep.
touchdown.
Yep.
Weeks 4 to 6, there wasn't anything like huge that happened in these weeks. So Jack Colston ends up getting eliminated after surviving the Gulag. Joey goes next. And then in week 5, David was in a similar situation to Jack Potter on a Monday night where David had Sam Darnold and needed like a lot of points. I forget exactly the situation, but Josh Allen was also playing on Monday night. So he makes the trade with Fleming to get Josh Allen for $55 and also giving him Sam Darnold. Fleming felt safe. He took on that risk. But the funny thing is, Josh Allen put up like a dud of a performance, like a low teens, like a 12 or something, like one of his worst games of the season. But David survived anyway because someone else had a huge dud. So, yeah, that was pretty funny. And then Ben and Matt were the final teams to get a chance in the Gulag, but both of them did not make it out, bringing us down to 12 people. And now I think this mid-season stretch is where you really start separating like who's a real contender and who's not. There's no more Gulag also. Potter and JC are the first to go after the Gulag ends. And in this stretch, there are some big spenders. Me in particular, I decided to just start spending. I got Saquon off waivers, I got Jamar off waivers, and I got Kenneth Walker off waivers, all for combined of 95 fab, pretty much my entire season's worth of fab. I think there was a point where I was over 100, so that wasn't all my fab, but and then Jake was also a big spender, spent 70 on. He was a pretty quiet guy. Like he didn't do much throughout the season, but he
He
spent.
didn't check. It was not intentional. He did not. He did not check or bid, and
No,
then
there were many weeks where
he
he did
came
nothing.
back. He came back that one week and just absolutely balled out.
Yeah,
I
he
think
spent a
Jameer's,
lot.
and I think I mean, Jameer is obviously a good spend. Garrett Wilson,
Yes,
obviously,
absolutely.
didn't
Garrett
pan out.
Wilson
Well,
overspend.
but
Yeah.
yes, and I think not only did he overspend objectively, I think he had like the highest bid by like $20 or something.
Oh, on Gibbs, yeah.
Oh, I thought on both, but maybe
Garrett
I'm
Wilson
wrong.
was a trade actually, if I
Okay,
recall
yeah,
correctly.
then Gibbs, yeah, I think Gibbs, he definitely like wasn't close, and he just like I think it comes from
I
he was
remember
like
actually.
people were spending like $50 on Bijan, and I was like, yeah, in like week 1,
Yes,
like
it changes.
the
It
market goes
changes
down.
so.
Yeah,
If you guys
yeah.
are new here, like
But if you
how
don't
people
check,
spend changes so
yeah,
crazily throughout the season, depending on the economy. And I think the reason Jake
yeah,
spent that much, at the time, I think Johnny, of course, had all the fab, and we were just like, okay, will Johnny spend? Will he not? If Johnny did spend, he easily could have dropped more than Jake to get Gibbs.
I think you're giving Jake too much credit.
I know
But
I'm not saying Jake thought this through, but I think I understand why he
yeah,
bid like I
yeah,
think he bid
yeah,
38
yeah.
was the official bid on Gibbs or 40, so that I wouldn't say it was an overspend.
Good times, good times.
Good times. But this, to my point about Johnny, this is when Johnny created a chokehold on the economy. By like week 8 or 9, he had over 50% of all of the market share in the entire league. I think it was like he had like 60 something fab, and the total fab available was only like 120. So it's like, okay, he has like all of it and could do whatever he wants. But also at this point in the season, the top 5 scorers were in order were Johnny, me, James, Huff, and Mark. Mark had always been in both years like a high scoring early season guy, only to get eliminated. Mark ends up getting eliminated in week 9. in the same week that he traded away Chase Brown to Fleming, I think for Brian Robinson, and that was like a huge
Oh,
point swing.
yeah, that
And
was tough.
it was enough to get Mark eliminated even with a strong start to the season. And then David followed behind in week 10. And David was a guy that he scraped by for many weeks after having like Pacheco and Jonathan Taylor injured, and doing the desperation trade for Josh Allen. It's like, and then he didn't have any fab because he did that. So David was kind of scraping by for a couple weeks before he finally died. Just the luck of the draw of a guillotine league. Now we are into the Elite Eight and the push for the Final Four. Our Elite Eight being going across the top: Fleming, me, Johnny, James, Ryan, Jake, Huff, and Phil. Phil, kind of the sneak. I kind of forgot Phil was in the Elite Eight this year. Not to get ahead of myself, he's the first to go of the Elite Eight, but he made it to the Elite Eight after auto drafting. So congrats to Phil, and spending 75% of his fab in week 1, but just to get a running back. But hey, I don't disagree with the move. This is where fab becomes extremely more valuable. There's only about 100 left in circulation. Some big moves to start off this like Elite Eight down to Final Four stretch. Johnny spends about 24 fab to get Amon-Ra, Cup, and Mooney. As you can tell, that's a lot less money to get some pretty good players at this point in the season, especially when he has like a chokehold on the economy. And then James traded $17 to me for Jonathan Taylor. He was desperate for a little bit for a running back, so he did that. Those were kind of the big moves in that period. Phil gets chopped for a while. Lamar and Bijan alone were carrying Phil through weeks. It's like combined. They would combine for like 50 points a week, and like that was enough to give Phil a floor to survive. So finally, they did not both have good weeks, and he got chopped. And then in a shocking twist, look at Phil. There's Phil's X's. In a shocking twist, the next week, Johnny, with all the fab in the world, gets chopped. He had an unlucky week from some of his studs, like Amon-Ra, Bowers, Mixon, CMC. All were at like low teens or single-digit points that week. That's just going to hurt you a lot. But the big question mark is, why the hell did he start Quentin Johnson? That was the week where Quentin Johnson dropped like 8 balls and put up an extreme dud of a performance. Why take that risk? Maybe we would all ask, why would you take that risk when you have all this fab? Just like get a better player. But I think Johnny wanted to save it. He wanted to keep having the chokehold on the economy, and that is the risk you run. Hence, Ryan, why the luxury taxes. The people that have the fab never end up winning anyway. So who cares? But this completely shifted, for the rest of the league, it completely shifted the economy, and it kind of put me into like the power position, because now I had like a chokehold on the economy relative to everyone else alive, and I was, in theory, one of the best teams at the time as well. But Jake gets chopped next. Looks like I forgot to finish this thought. I didn't really have a thought on him. Like he was another one that kind of scraped by, like you said. He wasn't super active, only made a couple moves here and there. There were weeks where he was starting like both Broncos running backs, like Jaleel McLaughlin and Javonte Williams, who would like combine for 10 points sometimes. And there were a couple weeks where he was starting both Browns receivers. It was like Judy and Elijah Moore. It's like,
Elijah Moore. Yeah.
So there were weeks where he was doing that and towards the bottom of the league, but not getting eliminated. So that's my take on Jake. He made it to the Elite Eight, but couldn't make it far. Final 6, top 6. You can't argue with it. And then James gets eliminated next with JT and Derrick Henry on bye. It's a brutal combination. Those were 2 of his best players, both on bye in the same week. I think that was just bound to happen given the circumstances. And then that left me when James and Jake both got eliminated, that left me as the only team left going into the Final Four with fab. Except now in the Final Four is when we enacted the new rule where starters aren't getting dropped, so like my fab isn't that valuable because only benches are getting dropped, or if someone else on waivers arises as a stud, I can get him obviously, but it doesn't actually put me in that much of a power position. Okay, the Final Four. The starting rosters are locked, as I already mentioned, but then another shocking twist. Not to toot my own horn, but I thought like I was absolutely in the driver's seat and should just waltz to a championship here. I think I had the strongest team in the league on paper, and I was the only team with fab. I decided on just whatever came over me to do this. I benched Justin Jefferson and Josh Jacobs, who were my first and second round picks. Surprisingly lasted me like the entire season. Those were 2 good picks that got me to where I was. I decided to bench them because I thought I had some better floor plays in Joe Mixon and Chuba Hubbard given some matchups. I think Justin Jefferson was playing Chicago, and he had put up 3 points the last time they played. I'm like, that's a risk. I don't want to do that. But, like, you just start your studs. Because ultimately, I think my thoughts after that week when I was feeling down about it, I was like, just you can't just be playing floor plays in the Final Four. You got to be playing your studs, guys who can pop off. Justin Jefferson ended up going off for, like, a lot of points, maybe 20 or something, and Mixon and Chuba were both single-digit scorers. So just terrible management on my part. You can't really say anything else. From my bench, Ryan grabs Jacobs, Fleming grabs Justin Jefferson, Huff grabs Nico. Those were the 3 guys I benched. And then Ryan goes next. Ryan ultimately had the first waiver priority and went for Jacobs instead of Justin Jefferson, which ended up being a 13-point swing. I don't know if that would have been enough to save you. I forget how bad of a loss it was, but still a decision you made that ended up not being the right decision. But Ryan, any thoughts there before you on your final weeks?
Admittedly, I don't think it mattered because I think I remember being glad that it didn't. But I don't know. I mean, Jacobs was on a torrid pace. That might have been the week. Was that the week where he was doing so well that they pulled him at halftime? I think it was.
I think he had 18 points. I mean, it was 18 versus 31.
Yeah,
Justin Jefferson had 31 points.
Yeah,
and it was 18 points from all yards, I think, or maybe a touchdown.
He did have a touchdown. That was the New Orleans game.
Oh my God, it was. I remember that.
So it was Jacobs against New Orleans, who was on pace for 36, and
they benched him at halftime?
I think, they benched him at halftime because they were up by 50 points.
Mm-hmm.
So hard to be that upset that he was doing so well that they pulled him. I don't really have regrets about that, I guess. Aside from, I remember starting to root for the Saints at a certain point.
Please make it a game so Josh Jacobs goes.
It was Spencer Rattler, and he just couldn't do anything. So, tough way to go, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I think the real culprits, as I wrote down here, you got Mike Evans and McBrides. Yes. Those were your duds.
Yeah.
Dowdle, I couldn't remember if you actually ended up starting him. It's really hard to find like the historical data, but you had him in your lineup at one point, and I don't remember if you ended up starting him. But if you did, he did have a bad week that week. I checked.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay, that would have been a questionable one if you did end up doing that and he had a bad week. And then Fleming ends up winning the championship, as we already said. Defense wins championships because Fleming started Philly defense and Huff started Indy defense. They aren't that great of a defense, but they were playing the Giants. But that was the Drew Lock masterclass week, and the Colts ended up with negative 3 points on defense, and the Eagles had 20 points. So it was a 24-point swing between their defenses in their matchup in the championship. And then for Huff, it was Nico, Achane, and Aaron Jones that put up duds relative to the rest of his team. And for Fleming, it was guys like JT, Bijan, and the Eagles defense. I think all scored 20+. And then Josh Allen, too, I think had a 20-point week. And then Puka also had a decent week, and that carried him to the victory, to the championship. So congratulations, Fleming. That is the season in review in 20 minutes. or however long that took.
Yeah, I think closer to probably 30. But yeah, I think if you're there on the defensive end, I think I'd heard some murmurs about banning defense. Maybe my leagues are blending together.
No,
but
we're not getting rid of defense.
I think there's some strategy to it. I mean, I'm pretty outspoken about not banning defenses. And yeah, sure, there's gonna be luck. I think if you go back to week 1, I would have been eliminated if my defense scored 8 instead of
defenses
22.
In week 1 are actually crazy.
They saved me. Yeah,
they're like a floor of 8 to 10 points if you pick an average one.
Yeah,
and that cannot be said about your deep flexes in a 20-team league.
So I think I went Bears against Will Levis in week 1, and I think they absolutely dominated.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, I think obviously it's unfortunate when it happens in a championship game because you can literally pick
anybody,
any of them,
except actually not the Broncos defense, because that was the best defense throughout the entire season, and they were on my starting roster when they got locked on my starting roster.
Unsung hero. 28 defenses. You can pick 28 defenses. Some teams have mailed it in, and I don't know. I think in the end, it's even tougher because there's so many that you can make a really compelling case for, and um, I think that's when it gets more to be like a coin flip of like, all right, there's 5 teams who are playing backup quarterbacks. Which one do I like the best? But
Right.
Fleming found him, so credit to Fleming. But I also don't think that one was close, if I recall. So
It was. I think Fleming won by about 20 to 30. But the 24-point swing with the defense that was honestly the major
yeah,
factor.
true, 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 true.
Um, but yeah, defenses are the unsung hero of my roster. I think throughout the season was the Broncos defense. They were awesome. Um, so I had a thought. I forget what I was going to say. But yeah, fun stuff. Oh, I was going to say how defenses early in the season, like I said, they matter a lot, and they also that's where fab trading can be interesting. It's like how much do you want to spend on a defense who just has one good matchup? It's like,
Yeah, Eric spent like $20 on the Jets.
yeah, early in the season. No, it was like a 10 or
It was
something.
9. It was 9. It was 9.
Okay,
But
yeah, and that's because I was high on them as a defense, and they were not good this year.
yeah,
But hey,
yeah.
we got it right. We righted the ship. Got the Broncos defense.
You got there. You got there. Yeah.
Quick touch on the Grim Reapers, as we're calling them, the people that were on the most eliminated teams. I will give a shout out to some guys I did not throw on here, even though they were in that 3 group up top, were Isaiah Likely and Alec Pierce, but that was mostly because they were on Gulag teams, so I'm not really sure how much I count those. The real culprits were, and this did not include the championship, I don't think, so I think if Huff had Aaron Jones, Huff had Nico, so that would bump them up into the 3 category, but and Jaden Daniels as well. So, but I don't know. Are we really going to count those? But these are our guys that were on a lot of eliminated teams. In theory, these are guys that you think will do well, but it's not always their fault that you get eliminated. They just happen to be on your starting team. They could have a great week, but the rest of your team stunk, and that could be why they just unluckily got on this list. But this was the list for anyone that cares. No one stood atop the group of 3 here. The group of 3 eliminations. All right, now into the fun stuff. I think our last year's or year-to-date kind of leaders on things. We got a couple slides here. This is our kind of, I think, a good summary slide to look at everyone. It includes 20 teams because there are 2 teams from the OG season 2023, Tom, TVR, and Kennedy, who are no longer in the league, but they were there in the first year. We have our total scoring. Ryan, how do you feel about just absolutely dominating in the total scoring category?
The 0 stars is hilarious.
That actually
And
is.
what is that? What is that? 4 trash cans?
Hey, I mean, my
What
point.
a graphic.
Here's the
What
thing.
were you guys saying?
Here's the thing. If you last, you can see by the trash can show. If you survive longer, you're gonna have more trash cans. There's just more times, and in the final weeks,
True.
it's like all you have to do is be the 3rd out of 4 teams to get a trash can, and that's like, okay, how much are we counting? Like I think you got that one this year.
Yeah.
When I got eliminated,
Yeah,
I think you got a trash can. But
just funny optically.
3-3, 3rd, 2 years in a row. That funny. On that note, if we look down here, who else is the only other team who is in the single digit of placement in both years? It is.
And I think I'm due for a good draft too, so that would be nice to not be.
Have a better.
I don't think I remember my first year, but I don't think I had a good draft then either. So
No, but it doesn't matter, as we've kind of come to learn.
Doesn't
Long-term success does not matter for the draft. The draft does not affect that. The draft affects more so your early season success. Jake is the only other team that was inside the top 10 both years.
yeah, that really puts a damper on my accolades as well.
No, it doesn't. It means that no one. That means Jake is the second best. You could make an argument.
Yeah, I think that's a load of bull honky. But
Jake, Ryan's coming at you.
Jake's not gonna watch. It's fine.
Okay, fine. Jake also only has
I
one
know
trash
who
can.
I know who I can come at in these because
They're
it'll
actually
go
watching.
unnoticed.
Oh, or who is not watching.
Yeah.
Flaming Joey and Jake because they're not going to be watching.
Correct.
I think a funny thing to look at too is your average weekly score versus your total score, because obviously you're going to have a high total score if you last a while, Ryan, you actually have a fairly low. You're lower than everyone in the top 10 except for Jake in average weekly scoring. So even James, all the way down at 10th, has a higher average weekly score than you.
I do pull players,
Yeah,
but
that was mostly because of pulling players. But that might
yeah,
stop now that we have incentives
yeah,
to
yeah.
score more.
I don't think I'm gonna do that this year. But just want my last thing.
JC, I actually would have guessed it would have been like either me, Johnny, or Mark at like the highest average weekly score, but it's actually JC getting second place in year one and 11th place this year. I think he had some good weeks this year before he got eliminated, but he and I share the record for most total stars. JC kind of dominated the first year before losing the championship, and I kind of dominated this year before getting eliminated in the final four. Yeah, I think I was 13th my first year, then 4th. If we go all the way down to the bottom, a funny thing to look at also is Tom TVR, only playing 1 year, and he like scraped by for 10 weeks longer than he should have. Maybe, that's maybe an exaggeration, like 4 weeks longer than he should
No,
have.
I don't think it's that much of an exaggeration, to be honest.
He has
That
more
was bad.
a higher lifetime scoring than both Mitchell and Phillip, who played 2 seasons, but to be fair to their credit, they only played 1 game in one of the seasons, so it's really just 1 season, and that 1 week is going to be like a 60-point scoring in that week 1. So, yeah. Other thing I'll call out, Mark. Mark seems to like fly high every season. He is the 3rd highest average weekly score, yet he's gotten 14th and 10th in the 2 seasons. That means he's scoring really high in early weeks when you shouldn't be scoring really high, and then getting eliminated in like a shocking turn. I think both years, year 1, 2023 was much more of a shock when he got eliminated than this year. But still, I think he always flies high and then dies.
Hate to see it. Hate to see it, Mark.
But yeah, some people with no trash cans yet, ever, being Mark. James Mark.
Maybe
And
I'll get a star this year.
maybe I don't get a star. And yeah, only other person without a star is Mitchell. And you and Mitchell. Tom, we're not counting. I guess no, David and Matt.
David
also
and
don't.
Matt, yeah, that's hilarious.
So fun stuff. I like this. This will continue to be updated throughout as I update the data behind this for this year, this upcoming season. So we'll see where Walker and Max can fall into this. Some other graphics here. I think I'll stick first on the middle graph here. The most fab ever accumulated in a given week. I think this is a fun one. Johnny technically was above 150, but I write it down as a week. Like once the week ends at like when I input the data on Wednesday, which is after waivers run. So Johnny technically was like in the 150s or maybe even 160 this week before he spent a little bit. That was this year, week 4, when he started to create that chokehold on the economy. As you can see in week 6, still had 128. By week 2, he already had 123 before going up to 150. Week 5 this year, he had 190. So yeah, he just constantly had a lot of fab this year. A lot of similar names here. By the way, I realized I have Mark written as Mark Ambasali. I think I different times had him written down as different things. I'll get that fixed. But Mark and Basali are the same person here. He's on this list a lot. He always had lots of fab, was scoring lots of points, as I mentioned, and then getting eliminated. And then Ben was on here from week 1 of this year when he got fab for Saquon. Yeah, I think the fab is a fun one. We'll keep track of that. I already kind of touched on that JC and I are the 2 with 5 stars in a single season. Not like this is not all time. This is like in a season. So in 2023 he got 5. In 2024 I got 5. Jack Colston got 4 in that first season, and Fleming this past year got 3. A lot of people in the 2s here. And then similar with trash cans in a season. This year it was only Huff, surprisingly, but as I said, you get a trash can if you get trash cans when you survive long enough, and he made it to the championship. In season 1, year 1, 2023, it was Fleming, Jack, Colson, and Potter, all with 3 as well. Lowest weekly high scores ever. I don't know if this will ever get topped. Maybe in like week 1 of this year, now that we have 20 teams. But Jake was the highest scorer in week 1 of to start the season. This whole league. 2023, he scored 105, and that was the highest score on the week. So that's hilarious. We got some other names in here. I mean, the next lowest high score was Johnny with 125, so it's a huge gap. James, Jack, Cooper, similar scores. Top 10 weekly highest and weekly lowest high scores. Starting off with the Ben record that will likely stand the test of time for a while, but the fact that it was done in week 4, it'll for sure stand the test of time for being done in the first 4 weeks. That's absurd. You would think like a championship team could put up 200 plus, but no one's done it yet over 200. The next highest is me this year. Right, the week before I got eliminated, I'm pretty sure I put up 191. I was flying high after that, only to get chopped. And then Mark, as I mentioned in the first year, I think that this is the week before he got eliminated in the first year. He put up 185 the exact same week that Ben put up 208. So there were just some crazy high scorers that week in 2023. Some other names. Joey, you can't. I mean, Joey, year 1, he actually, to go back, I know he hasn't had great placement both years, but year 1, he was like leading the league to start the season. He got 2 stars in like the first 3 weeks, and he was like a powerhouse to start.
I'll defend Joey. I'll defend Joey's honor because he won't watch this. But I think last year he did have CMC. He had
Mixon got hurt.
Keenan, Mixon.
I mean, it's
he had
not to go a million years back, but yeah, he's big fudge right here. CMC first overall. Mixon. Mark Andrews was a dud. Keenan Allen dud. Rasheed Rice gets hurt. It's like
yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Very unfortunate. I think Joey played A-okay. But that's how the cookie crumbles, I guess.
Exactly. It is exactly right. And then I guess Fleming in his last couple late weeks this season had put up some high scores before he ended up winning the championship. So he had actually this was the championship. He put up 167 in the championship. Neither of the championship scores from year 1 are in here. Are in the top 10. It was a low scoring championship from year 1 when Jack beat JC. And then your top 10 lowest scores ever, as you would expect. Most of these would occur in like the first 4 weeks, mainly in week 1. Our 4 of our top 5 are in week 1. Week 2, Mitchell holds the record of 58.08 as the lowest score ever recorded, not by a Gulag team. I'm not including those. And there, Ryan, do you notice any outliers in this list of when they occurred?
I do notice an outlier. TVR in week 13.
Week 13. There's 5 teams left. Or no, 6 teams left because he got 6th place that year. He got eliminated on that score, obviously. I think the gap was like every other team was over 110 or something, and he puts up 65. It like finally happened that he got eliminated. That's hilarious. And then Potter had a low score this year in week 7 to get eliminated. Those are our kind of later, only ones after week 4 that have cracked the top 10. I'm sure week 1 of this year will probably break the record because of 20 teams now, but we will see. Some other fun ones are highest and lowest average weekly scores across the league. The lowest. Wait, hold on. Oh, these numbers. Oh, shoot! I didn't fix this one. This is wrong. These are the exact same numbers. The title's different, but these are the exact same numbers as this. So, my bad. But to tell you what the top one is, it's obviously that week. It was week 1 of 2023 when Jake, the highest score was 105. So that was the lowest. Average weekly score. The average weekly score was probably in like the 70s or 80s. But maybe I'll throw it in the chat after this, in the sleeper chat, so we actually have these numbers to look at. But the highest average weekly scores, the championship of this year is the highest. I mean, you would expect to see that. And funny to see that it was this week 4 of 2023 where we have 2 of our 3 highest scores ever recorded, 208 and 185. That week did not crack the top 10 because of how low the rest of the teams were scoring. So that's kind of funny. But obviously these are all later in the year weeks. The championship of 2023 is in 4th. And yeah, this isn't that exciting. This slide in particular, partially because I messed it up, but it's okay. And then lastly, I think it's a fun one to look at is our top 5 narrowest margins of survival. You know what? It gets all funky because of the Gulag stuff, but that Potter over Jack Colston this year should be on here as like 3rd or 4th because he survived by 1 point. But it's hard to get the data to make sense because there were 2 teams technically below that. So anyway, outside of weird gulag weeks, the smallest margin of victory is Fleming over Phillip in the week 1 of the first season, won by 0.3. Phil got eliminated week 1, and then another sub 1 point margin of survival was Phillip over JC in week 8 of this year, just barely knocking out JC. That was a fun one. I remember that. But yeah, that's it. Ryan, you got any commentary anywhere? Anything that stood out to you?
No, I mean, this is already going to be a pretty long video, so
Yeah.
I won't.
We're at 40 minutes.
I won't add to it. Yeah. I think you covered it. I'm trying to like remember if any of these were like, noteworthy Monday night stuff, but
actually, Ryan. I mean, I kind of forgot. This is such a late. This is when there's 3 teams left this year. When Huff beat you by 1 point.
Oh yeah, and I was rooting for Jacobs and they pulled him. Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, this was that brutal moment right there.
Frick. Yeah, I forgot. That was a bummer. Okay, yeah, that's a good place to cut it.
On to next season.
Yeah, that sucked.
And if you guys are new, the 2 new guys in the league, and you actually watch this whole video, thank you, congratulations. And not everyone does.
That would be wild.
I feel like Max. I have a feeling Max might be here.
Walker won't watch.
Okay.
I would. Yeah.
Damn it,
Walker. Yeah. If he ever does anything stupid, I'm gonna flame him because he won't watch.
I'll make sure to flame Max. I'm pretty sure he'll be watching. But if you ever do anything stupid, I'll flame him.
Yeah. Nothing to flame quite yet. But
nothing yet. But we flame. We don't hold back in these videos. We try not to, at least. Hot takes only.
I feel like I flamed Johnny enough for QJ, so I didn't pile on in this one. But yeah, that's a timeless one.
That'll be an all-time classic.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, good luck. We got the draft coming up in like 20 or so days. I'm already doing mock drafts out the wazoo. So hope you guys are getting hyped just like we are. At least I am. I'm sure Ryan is.
Very hyped.
Very hyped. Picks 1 and 2 right here. Totally
That's
not
right.
collusion.
Not rigged at all. Not rigged at all.
All right, guys. Good luck.
And whenever we do a trade too, that's the other thing that like people are like, "Huh, interesting." It's like, what? We're not allowed to trade?
Right.
With each other.
We haven't done that many trades, but yeah, whenever we do,
we did one.
Like,
we did
collusion?
one, and yeah, we did one trade, and people lost their mind. So.
Yeah, it's bound to happen. It's what comes with a job, right?
That's right.
All right, guys. Good luck. See you guys at the draft.
See ya.